Jana, you just had a brand photo shoot last week and you sent me the
Yeah,
photos and I lost my mind. They
they're
were so
good.
good.
Yeah, they were good.
Tell us um how you like when did this process even start? Because that's what we're
Yeah,
talking about today is brand photo shoots. So between
yeah.
the getting the photos last week and when you started planning this particular shoot, like
hmm
how did that begin? While I get my notes up.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, I hope that in this live we are able to give people some insights into like if there's anyone listening and you're like planning a photo shoot that's coming up that you have a date for, or maybe you are why did my loom just start? That was random. Oh my goodness. Sorry, hold on. Something's okay, sorry. Or you are going to plan a photo shoot soon and you want to kind of make sure you're like covering all your bases with all the things you need to do to get ready to get the best results possible. This will be a great live for you to listen to because we're both going to share like things that we did really well, the process that we went through, and also maybe some things that we wish we had done or wish we'd known before we shot. So that's the plan.
That's the plan.
Yeah, so my process started when I decided to hire Workplay Branding. Heather, you and I were in Dallas together at the event that we attended together that Jordan Gill ran, and Workplay was there, and they did our little mini shoot for us, which was so fun. And I already had them on my radar, but I had been thinking about their program, but that was like that kind of like sealed the deal for me.
Yeah.
So I decided to do it because I have had two brand photo shoots early in my business, and they just were outdated, and they were very small. Like I only got maybe like realistically, I probably ended up with like 15 shots from each of those that I liked. They weren't
Wow.
they weren't enough. And I had utilized photographers that were great at what they did, but they weren't really like they didn't do just brand photography. So one of the things that I really love about this new process that I'm doing is that during this shoot that I did last week in Miami, oh, well, not during, but afterward, they sent me all the photos. So I have hundreds and hundreds of photos. And even just going through and picking all my favorites, I ended up with like 250 that were like in my like favorite, like best of.
Wow.
So I have 250 shots that I like the way I look in, that are good, that are, versatile that I can use for different things. And like that's just like already such a game changer. So that's the result that I got. But this started way back then. I hired them, and then what they asked me to do, they have a whole onboarding process that you can, do if you're with them, but also it's an onboarding process that you can follow even if you're not working with this particular company. Obviously, theirs is very nuanced and walks you through every step. But basically, what I did, I was asked to establish some basics about my brand, which many of us have done before, but things like colors and fonts and whatnot. And they actually asked if I wanted to like do a new color palette, which I have been wanting to do. So I said yes. So that was kind of like a separate part of the process. And then for the photography preparation, first, I created a few different Pinterest boards. So instead of just creating one Pinterest board for everything having to do with planning this brand photo shoot that we were going to do, which was going to be a day-long shoot at multiple locations, I actually created like several Pinterest boards. And I think that that's actually something that's worth mentioning because instead of just doing one, I have a little list of them. I had one board that like was for the aesthetic that I wanted in general. So I
Mhm.
was pinning pictures that didn't necessarily look like brand photos. They might have been like pictures of architecture or pictures of like, I don't know, a certain animal or like clothing pictures that weren't necessarily the clothes I would wear in the shoot, but it was all about the aesthetic that we wanted to develop. And that was so that the photographers knew and the creative director, which I'll explain in a minute, knew what aesthetic we were going for. Because that is what's gonna like be like kind of guide the whole process, right? Like what do you want this to feel and look like? So that helps you know then later on like what poses, what to wear, where we should be shooting to begin with, right? That's stuff you want
Mhm.
to figure out. I also did a separate Pinterest board for poses, and it was mostly like outdoor poses that I liked. And then I also did a separate Pinterest board for studio shot ideas. So the indoor session that we did in the studio, because I wanted to like separate those and because they were kind of like different in terms of what I was going for. I did a whole board that was for the preset, which is like how they edit the photos so that they could see like the preset vibe that I wanted with the lighting and stuff.
Mhm.
And then I did a separate board for wardrobe and a separate board for hair and makeup. And I think by doing that separate boards instead of having one big board for all that stuff, it really freed me up to think more creatively because I could put things on the aesthetic board that were really communicating the aesthetic without thinking like, oh, they're going to think I want to be in that pose, or they're going to think that's the clothing that I'm going to wear and it's not. You know what I mean? Like it gave me the
Yeah.
ability to like pick and choose. And then later on, when I was organizing things, like when I was shopping for clothes for the wardrobe stuff, I just went right to the wardrobe board. I wasn't like looking through all the boards, looking for the things that I had pinned that, were basically me trying to tell future me what to buy.
Yeah.
Um, and it's so interesting because we always say Pinterest is for planners.
Yep.
If you think about it, just as a quick aside, right? Here I am pinning ideas for outfits that I'm going to buy, in the next like 30 days because I'm preparing for my photo shoot. So I'm not necessarily buying them in the moment. I'm pinning these ideas and then I'm coming back to them later. And some of the things I actually bought and other things I went looking for. So maybe I pinned a blouse from a company, but I ended up buying it online on their website, but they still were in my planning process. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's interesting if you think about Pinterest buyer behaviors in that way too. So some of the things I did that I really liked, I went for like drama and stylized instead of like the like me sitting in a cafe at my computer kind of pictures
Mhm.
because I knew I wanted some more stylized dramatic ones and I knew I could get like cafe pictures kind of like anywhere. I can go to any cafe
Yeah.
in the future in my own city, for example. While I was in Miami, I went for like things that like I felt like I could do only in Miami kind of thing. Not that it's like literally only in Miami, but like that outdoor, we spent a lot of time outdoors in the set areas that I wanted to be in that looked like things that I couldn't find here in my hometown.
Yeah.
Let's see. Things I did really well too, like I listed out like a lot of the details and really, really planned. I'm sure no one who knows me is shocked by that.
Not shocked at
Um,
all.
but I literally listed out like every outfit I was going to wear, right down to like the accessories, earrings, shoes, and everything. And then I took all those outfits that I had put together and I actually assigned them to like a certain part of the day because we were going to 5 different locations. So I knew exactly which outfits were going to be worn at the different locations, which helped a lot in terms of getting the most out of our day. So I wasn't like, searching through my, suitcase in the back of the car in the middle of a parking lot for something or whatnot. So that was really good. We did end up skipping one of the locations intentionally, and I'm really glad I did that because I didn't want to be rushed. So we skipped a location, and that was okay. A couple of little hacks that I used. They taught me this, and it was really good. I had a big clear plastic bin with a lid, and I
Hmm.
put all the accessories in there that I wanted to use. Not accessories, sorry, like props. So
Yeah.
like notebooks and like coffee mugs, and I had champagne in there we didn't end up using, but like the things that I planned to use for props were all in that. And when I woke up in the hotel in Miami in the morning, I took a empty plastic bottle that I had put in that bin and I filled it with coffee at the coffee bar.
Oh,
Well,
nice.
first I put it in a cup and let it cool because I didn't want to put like hot coffee in a plastic bottle. And I did that because I wanted to make sure that when I did photos of me drinking coffee, that there was actually coffee in the mug.
Yeah.
Because last brand shoot I did a while ago, you could see that the mug was empty in some of the pictures. So I guess, like point is I thought through a lot of the
We
details and
want it
stuff
to be
like that.
realistic. We
So
don't
yeah,
want this, we don't want it to look fake.
yeah, exactly.
Just because it's dramatized doesn't mean that it's not realistic.
Yeah, you don't want it to look, like you said, like fake. And then I also wrote down like the photographer played music and she asked me what music to listen to. And I was like, oh, do you have any musicals? And she had Wicked and we listened to some Hamilton too. And that was really helpful. So
Jana's favorite.
yes. And then I just have a few things that I felt like didn't work, and then I'm going to stop talking.
Yeah.
I didn't end up getting enough, even though I have hundreds of shots, because I was going for like the drama.
Yeah.
I didn't get enough shots of just me like smiling at the camera. And so I don't have as many to choose from for like my profile photos. And I'm kind of like, oh, shoot. So the good thing though is that with this company, I have 3 more brand photo shoots later on in the year, three
For
more.
a total of 4.
4 over the course of the year, which seems like a lot, but then you think like exactly this type of situation. Like I got a lot of really cool dramatic photos, but I don't really have ones that are like, perfect for certain usage.
Hmm.
And so next time I do a shoot, I'm definitely going to make sure we spend, at least a good like hour making sure I'm getting some really good like facing the camera, smiling,
Like
looking like
headshot
a
style photos too.
right, looking like a normal person, not a a fashion model type of Those were great. I love them. They're so good. They're so good. But they were mostly outside at this like high drama location. But and then I still feel like I felt a little rushed. So some of that was probably self-imposed, but I think in the future, with future shoots, I think I'm gonna like follow my instinct and really like just like slow down. And if I think I need 2 hours somewhere, schedule 3 hours for that spot.
Yeah.
And again, that's the benefit of having like a plan for the year instead of just like randomly planning a photo shoot and doing it. Knowing that I'm going to do four over the course of the year, I can kind of iterate and like go a little bit slower and not feel the pressure to get everything done in one day.
Yeah.
Um, so those are some of like the pros and the cons and things that I'm going to do differently next time. Um,
So how long
yeah.
between, because I know you bought this package during their Black Friday
Hmm.
promotions, right? They were running a Black Friday. I don't know if
That's
it was
right.
discounted at all, but like they were
It was.
promoting
Yep.
during Black Friday
Hmm.
and you paid for the entire year. So between Black Friday and this photo shoot, that was only about what, 60 days?
Yeah. It's actually you don't pay. I didn't pay all up front. There's like a payment plan. Hmm.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Hmm.
That's
But
so
you're
fast
committed for the
though.
year. You're committed to it for
Yeah.
the year. Yeah, it was pretty fast. I mean, they as soon as I was onboarded, I quickly went through their onboarding process, which was all oh, I kind of didn't finish talking about that. So it was like all the Pinterest boards. I submitted that to them. And then once I had done my homework for them and sent that all to them, they actually scheduled me, or I scheduled myself with one of their creative directors.
Okay.
So their creative directors are people who, some of them are the photographers and some of them just do creative direction. They
Yeah.
plan the shoot for you. So they basically help you like bring the aesthetic to life. And so we were on a like a 1 hour call where we picked the locations and talked about wardrobe and all those types of choices. And they gave me a lot of like direction and answered my questions. So that was really helpful. And it was interesting. Like, so for example, that creative director at first was like, well, have you been to the design district of Miami? And I was like, I haven't. I do not want to shoot my photos there. Um, because the design district is a lot of like modern stuff. And I'm like, that's
Yeah.
not the aesthetic I'm going for. She's like, oh, of
Yeah.
course it's not, and she knew that. So we ended up looking for older buildings in Miami and found a couple of really beautiful older buildings to shoot at, for example. So that was the creative direction thing. And then as soon as we did that, on that call, we set the date for the shoot. And I could have said, like, oh, let's plan it for like 2 months from now. But I didn't want to do that. I wanted to get going. So we planned it for like 3 weeks from that date. And that gave me enough time, I felt like, to get my wardrobe stuff together and, do all the planning that I wanted to do to make it, work
Yeah.
the way I wanted it to. So, yeah.
No, I really like that. That's, I mean, they obviously have a large team, it sounds like. So they have the
Mhm.
freedom and flexibility to assign you to a creative director and then a photographer that's actually going to take the photos. Now, another question for you is once the photos were taken and they were delivered, like what was that process? Were all the photos edited or do they send you raw photos that you choose from and then they edit those?
They sent me all the finished photos, so they edited all of them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I'm assuming that they do it in some, scaled way. Either I'm sure they're probably not done by hand, is my
They
guess.
probably
But
create custom presets for every client and then just
right,
apply them
apply
and
it.
then go through, filter through each photo and then
Right.
adjust.
Right. That being said, and I feel like this is turning into like an ad for this company. Like we're not affiliates, at least not at this point or anything. We're just talking about something, an experience. But I guess probably shouldn't say that, like because if you're watching this in the future and we've changed our minds and now we're affiliates, then we are, and if so, then we'll let you know in the notes below. But right now, at the time of recording, we're not. But they did offer to redo the edits if I wanted them to. Like they said, like please do not hesitate if you want us to redo these edits. We want these to be perfect and for you to love these.
Hmm.
I felt like they honestly nailed it. I will be honest and say that like there have been a few times that I'll pop something in Canva and I make it a little cooler. So I probably should have, and maybe again next time
Yeah,
I
this
might
is
take them
feedback.
up on it. Yeah, exactly. Next time I might say, can you edit all of these a little bit cooler? And I'm sure that they would have done it because they literally said like, please do not hesitate. I know it can feel awkward to like ask us to redo something, but like we want you to. So please tell us if the preset isn't quite right.
Well, this is an investment
Um,
that you're making in your
so
business. So
Yep.
and to your brand. So
Hmm.
yeah, they should absolutely, take edit requests if they have them.
Yeah, and I didn't ask for them because I really honestly thought that they had really nailed the preset and they did a good job making it look like the preset Pinterest board that I had given them.
Yeah.
Um, but then once you start using the photos in practice, sometimes like I can see how now that I'm using them, I'm like, okay, actually that could have been a little cooler, but it's easy enough to edit them. It's just that I have to, do that e each time instead of having it all, pre-edited that way. So for the second shoot this year, I probably will um, consider the idea of going back and saying, actually, would you re-edit them a little cooler?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. This has been, I mean, whether someone uses this particular company or another company,
Mhm.
I think it's just really good information to have. Now, my
Right.
last brand photo shoot was in 2021. We launched the website in 2022. So it's been like a while,
2 years. Yeah.
but
Wow. I'm surprised.
I
Time flies.
have been able to use those photos in like so many different ways, and they're very me. So
Yes.
when you look at like Jana's brand photos and her outfits, she's wearing more like formal, not formal, but like
Conservative,
definitely
conservative.
more dressy outfits. And this is where your brand comes into play. What
Hmm.
the brand message and the vibe that you want to give to the world is how you need to come through in your photos. So I wore
Hmm.
in a couple of my shots t-shirts
Yeah.
with like fun things on them because that's who I am. Like that is, I would, if you meet me for coffee, I'm probably going to be wearing a fun t-shirt.
Yeah.
Like I'm wearing my Mickey Mouse shirt today. That's just who I am. So
Right.
you don't want to portray yourself as something that you're not in your photos to what you are in real life. So I just want to make
Yeah.
sure people know you don't have to be stuffy and
Yeah.
not fun in your photo shoot. You should absolutely
Yeah.
come through your photos as yourself. And when you sent me those photos,
Yes.
I was like, okay, this is so good. This is so Jana. This is what I've seen from Jana when I've traveled with her. I've seen more the dressy side, I've seen the casual side of you. And honestly, like when you come to Europe and you come see me, I'm hoping, I'm expecting you to be a little dressier because I'm gonna do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I do. In Europe, they do it up a little
Yeah, they do
bit.
it up a little
No,
bit
it's
more.
it's the same. They're cash too.
Yeah. Well, they just have a different outlook on what casual is. So,
I think that's
which
true.
I'm
Hmm.
excited about.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just want to make that like something that everyone should understand. Like, you don't need
Yeah.
to make your brand photos look like someone else's brand photos. It
In
should
fact,
look
they
like
shouldn't. They should look
you.
like exactly. Like I did work for years with Kay Putnam, the brand strategist. Many people who watch these lives with us knew her because they may have discovered me through her. And
Yeah.
she teaches about brand archetypes. That's one of the things, the lenses she teaches branding through. And your brand archetypes are very like girl next door, and you've
Mhm.
got a little bit of entertainer because you are like just fun and
Yeah.
like easy to
Thank
talk
you.
to and yeah, engaging. Yeah, big smile. So you've got that vibe going on and your photos captured that beautifully. They're
Yeah.
just so great. Exactly like you said, like, I looked at them and it was like, I can't believe it was 3 years ago, but when I remember
I know it's
you
been so
showing me them,
long.
I was like, oh my God, they nailed it. They got Heather. They like captured like your essence. My brand archetypes these days are royal and hero. And so, I've got a lot of pictures of me in more up, like kind of an upscale type of
Yeah.
situation, which is very royal. I've got like pillars and foundational things behind me because that's very like hero and very royal as well. So, like you said, you really want to be trying to have your photos convey something that is like really the essence of your brand. And also, you don't want to look like everyone else. You want to stand out. And it's interesting because coming from corporate America originally, I used to wear like suits and silk blouses, like this one, for example, and things like that.
Mhm.
And when I was putting together my stuff for my photo shoot, I was kind of going back to that. And I was like, that's so
Yep.
interesting because that actually makes me stand out in the online space because so many
Yeah.
people in the online space
Don't.
are more of the girl next door. A friend of mine did like her brand photos at a beach recently, and she was, gorgeous in her beachwear, but that's not my brand, So
Yeah.
I was actually like wearing this and thinking like, oh, this is kind of like straightforward. But then I realized, well, that's actually going to be different than a lot of other people's brand photos in the online business space, which is what you want. You want to be different, right? So,
Yeah. Couple of things
anyways,
from me that
yeah,
I
back to
would
your
do
process.
next time. So I worked with a photographer that was a brand strategist.
Mm,
And I think it's important if you don't have brand strategy that you do try to find someone that is versed in that so they can
mhm.
actually help you with the direction. Not every photographer has a creative director on their team
Right.
and photographers and editors and like all this stuff. A lot of them are like one women or one men or one human shows.
Yep.
So keeping that in mind, I would definitely for sure go with another photographer that is a brand strategist as well. And
As
then
opposed to like a wedding photographer, for
just like
example.
a random photographer. I'm not going to choose someone that does family photos. I'm not going to choose
Right.
someone that does wedding. I'm not, like if their primary focus, if I go to their website and their primary focus is e-commerce product photography, I'm not going to hire them. They're
You
not
want
going.
a brand photographer.
Yeah, I want a brand photographer, and they need to understand brand strategy and messaging. Um, Things I would do next time personally
Mhm.
is more stock photo style shots because I make a lot of marketing photos for my brand. I do a lot of sharing. I create a lot of images for my blog. I don't want to have stock photos from a different photographer that don't necessarily match the brand photos from my brand photographer.
Yeah.
So what I'm planning on doing when I get to Europe and I get a new photo shoot done, I'm going to give them my existing brand photos and let them know this is the same vibe I want. I want the same aesthetic.
Hmm.
We're going to change the clothes, we're going to change the location, and I also want prop photos. I want photos on my
Hmm.
computer. I want photos of pens and pencils. Like I
Hmm.
want a full stock photo shoot that gives me the freedom and flexibility to not use my photos in every single thing that I create on my website. I don't want to be in every single image on my website.
Yeah.
I feel like that's just coming across a little bit full of myself and narcissist personally. So like not every photo on my website needs to be me. So
Me.
next time, more stock photos. I would actually go with the next time I do photos, I'm not going to have a podcast mic at all because I feel like my last photo shoot, there's way too many photo options with the podcast mic. And sure, I speak into a podcast mic every time I'm on YouTube Live and every video and every training that I do, but I'm not a podcaster.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would do less of those. I would actually do, she did a few shots of me with my camera for
Because you're a
my
YouTuber.
YouTube stuff. I
Yeah.
would do more photos with the camera,
Yep.
actually.
What about like a light ring?
Um, maybe, maybe something like that. I don't use them though,
Hmm.
but I think that could be good prop
Could still
photography.
just communicate what you're, yeah.
Yeah, and then the last thing I would do is a location shoot. So I
Hmm.
did a photo shoot in a house, like I rented out a pier space for the day, and
Hmm.
I think it was about 5 hours that we spent there. And we really only spent the majority of our time in 3 rooms.
Hmm.
So I would do more location
Hmm.
based shoots
Yeah.
or just more photos of the house without me in it because I do work from home
Hmm.
and that is good messaging for me. Like, it's not my
Yeah.
home. I do work from home.
Right.
I could use those photos as stock photos as well.
Right. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yep.
Also, just generally more shots of like buildings, the place where I'm, working without me in it, things like
Yep.
that.
Hmm.
But things I feel like I did right, again, is just working with a photographer who had all of this stuff in mind. I didn't actually have to think about any of it.
Hmm.
I never would have even thought about it because I didn't
She
know
had
any.
like the vision.
Yeah, she
Hmm.
came with the vision. I came with the hair and makeup done.
Hmm.
We rocked it.
Yeah.
Um, One thing I did do right though, and I use these photos all the time, are the white background photos.
Hmm.
We did a whole like hour of just white background photos in different
Different outfits. Hmm.
outfits.
Yep.
And you can just very easily remove the
The
background from
background.
those in Canva and put
Hmm.
yourself on whatever you want.
Yep.
And those have worked tremendously well for weeks that I film YouTube videos and forget to take thumbnail photos.
Yeah.
We actually just use the brand photos.
Yep.
Thumbnail for this video is actually one of the ones, the white background photos. That was a brand
Hmm.
photo.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it. Those are my thoughts on
Love
my
it.
shoot almost 3 years ago.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder if when you do your next shoot, you actually want to do like a whole, because sometimes it's a different photographer that knows how to photograph people
Mhm.
versus a photographer that knows how to photograph like items for stock photography and the location. I almost wonder if you'll need a different person to do
Yeah.
like the
I would be
location
on the hunt
and
for that.
the cool thing is if again, if you do another peer space, which they do have those in Europe too, you could have one photographer who spends a day with you doing maybe some of you, but also mostly focusing on the stock images and like the images of the home itself. And then you could do a different day with a different photographer who's focusing more on the Heather focused pictures. Maybe,
Yeah.
or maybe it could be the same person, but I worked for a real estate photographer for a while, and he was always like, no, we don't take pictures of people, just because like they weren't trained how to do that, and it's
Mhm.
a different
It
art
is different.
form. Yeah.
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 Yeah. So, I mean, I'm looking at Workplay Branding's website and they offer,
Mhm.
and it's probably because they haven't,
I'm gonna have to send this video to them later, and they're gonna be like, thank you. I hope.
let me sign you up for an affiliate.
Yeah, I probably should be.
They have the workplace signature and then they have product editorial custom. Those are their four photo shoot buckets.
Right.
And honestly, my next photo shoot, I'm probably going to tell whoever does it, I want a branding, which is like
Hmm.
their signature, and
Hmm.
product. Now, I'm going to take my own product.
Yep.
So those products might just be like gadgets and gadgets and things around my office that I clean up or I buy new and
Yeah. And
then
then
use.
use.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
I love that. And I think it's worth thinking out of the box too. Like, are there some things that aren't necessarily just notebooks and laptops and things like that that might not be as literal, but still represent your brand? So, for example, for me, one of the things I want to incorporate somehow in the next photo shoots, I don't know which one, but one of the ones this year is like chess pieces because I want to
Oh,
like convey
nice.
strategy.
Yeah.
And so I'm still figuring out how I'm going to do that, but I definitely like I want to do that. So for you, um, maybe even though you will be in Europe next time you do a photograph, I mean a brand photo shoot, maybe you'll bring like a little cactus into it to speak to your love of of
There.
Arizona. Or what else could like be kind of like a um, even just like fun little things like your little Groot back there,
Mm-hmm.
things that are
He's
just a little
hiding.
bit, yeah, things that are just a little bit playful that bring in that playful element of your brand.
He's there. Yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
it's entirely possible I will think through and add some of those things in. I personally like in my life, and I want to live my life the way that I run my business.
Mhm.
I love to be surrounded by plants and
Yeah,
and
plants,
greenery and outdoor spaces. So I very much see myself doing a brand photo shoot in like a
a
really
garden.
beautiful garden. So like a
Yeah.
botanical garden or like some sort of garden somewhere. And, maybe even taking like a picnic blanket.
Oh, yeah, that's a great idea. A picnic is
I
very like girl
actually,
next door. Yeah.
I have very, like,
Hmm.
often, and a lot of people have no idea that I do this. When it's cool out and the kids are not in school, for years, I would take them to the park just around the corner and I'd take a picnic blanket and my laptop. And I always have Wi-Fi. I'm never without Wi-Fi. So I would tether to my phone or take my Wi-Fi device and work from the tree, like underneath the shade. So that's like in my
Yeah.
character to do things like that.
Yeah, I love
So
that for you. I think that could be really cool. You could actually do a very stylized brand shoot that would be really unique looking, where you have like a curated picnic basket with certain like color napkins
yeah,
and even like little snacks and things like that. And like I could see that being really like you could certainly do it just literally like Heather looks pretty in her picnic basket, but it could also be cool and stylized. Like you could almost like you could even think about doing like a little bit of like a retro. Hi Nate. That's that's not creepy.
always so creepy. We are not including him.
I could see you. Okay, so I think you should start a Pinterest board with like a slightly retro feeling picnic theme to to start to develop like the aesthetic for this photo shoot.
I think that would, I also want to include the green velvet. I don't know if you guys just saw that, but like those curtains are green
Oh, those
velvet.
curtains. Oh, okay. You can't tell from here, but okay. Yeah, green velvet
Um,
would be. Yeah, I love that.
I mean, that's very retro, not necessarily the green, but like I could do
Yeah,
the
yeah,
burnt orange color in my brand as like
yeah.
the picnic blanket sort of thing. Like
Yep.
it could come to life in so many ways. But yeah,
Yeah.
you just have to kind of get in touch with what you want your brand to portray. And if you might need to hire someone to help you to bring it to life.
Yeah, for sure.
So as you're thinking about brand photos, you need to consider them as an investment in your business.
Hmm.
I was so excited to pay the invoice for the photographer when I
Hmm.
paid for her services. She sent it right over. I never asked for anything. I was like, yes, take my money. We're doing this.
Yeah. Hmm.
Um, and I've just had nothing but joy using those photos ever
Mm,
since. So,
that's so fun. That's so good. I love that. Such a nice way to say
yeah.
it. So good. All right. Well, good. I hope that, I hope, like I said, if people are listening and they're thinking about a brand photo shoot or they're planning one, that this is inspiring. And also maybe just that, like I said, it gives you a couple of things to think about, to avoid, like, sidestep some of them, not really mistakes, but the things that, we each did that we would like to maybe do differently next time.
So a couple things in the chat. Tamisha
Mhm.
says, agreed, I put tea in my mug and I tried not to spill it. Gigi says
Yeah.
hello. And then Tamisha says, love the idea of more stock photos.
Hmm. Yep.
I just need more, okay?
Hmm.
And then Joy retracted her messages now, but I saw them before she retracted them, and she said, LOL, cactus girl. I'm not prickly though. Like, yeah, I mean, I can live through a
Yeah, I don't know.
drought,
You
but
might be
like,
leaving your cactus era.
I might be leaving my cactus era. Yeah, for more greenery,
Yeah, yep.
less dangerous greenery. But if you guys have questions as far as like brand photo shoots or anything like that, like we're not experts in this, but we can tell you more about our experiences. So feel free to tap us if you have questions on those things. But I mean,
Yeah.
overall, Jana, how is it going and what have you changed so far on your website? Are you planning on changing your
Yeah.
brand colors now? Like,
Yeah,
are you going to adapt and like rebrand the website going forward?
I am. That's a great question. And as I mentioned, I didn't get as many like forward-facing smiling at the camera pictures as I should have, really. So I haven't really identified one for sure that I want to use as my profile photo. So I'm kind of hemming and hawing about that right now. I might wait till the next shoot to change my profile photo. I'm not sure. I'm the kind of person who, once I change my profile photo, I want to use it for like the next like at least year because I like to be
10 years.
recognizable. I know. There's like a year, whatever. I've had the same brand photo since I met you
I
on the
mean,
like because it's not just it's because people recognize it.
I think I've had the same profile photo across all platforms for like 3 years.
Yep,
I
it's
started
this
with a
this one.
pink shirt one.
Yeah, I can picture your brand photo. You're going like this.
Now it's kind of like an orangey color cardigan and a white t-shirt, and I'm standing at the
Oh,
counter
oh, okay. Yeah, I'm thinking of the old
looking and
one.
smiling at the camera.
Yep.
At least on
Yeah.
YouTube, because I'm looking at it on YouTube right now. That's the one I have there.
Yep.
But honestly,
I
Jana,
think
there were so many good ones. I think you could just,
I think I did ask Sky to change already on my homepage though. And I don't know if she's done it yet just because, I'm not the only client she has, but at some
oh,
point
she's
she will
busy, yeah.
change it. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna put one of the ones with me in the green sweater on the homepage. And if you go to janaomedia.com/emails, which is the landing page I have for people who want to sign up to get my high leverage hits emails in your inbox.
You stinker. You used that photo on purpose.
What do you mean?
This is the one you sent me, and I made
Oh,
that
is
little
it?
comment back to you.
Oh, yeah, I think that's one of my favorite ones. Oh, is that the one where you think I'm like looking all? No, I thought that that was one of the ones that I took. The one that you liked that you thought was like all sexy. Wasn't that the one from
Yes.
the
Yeah, that's it. Did you
That's the
choose
one?
this one for
Oh.
me?
I guess maybe I want to look sexy so people sign up for my sexy emails.
They are sexy emails. No, I love it. I love it, and I'm excited for
That's one of them.
the changes that are going to come. I mean, high leverage content has been like a navy-ish color, right? The branding for it so far. It's not been purple.
Right. You're right.
Right.
So I used purple for like my main brand color for a long time and I'm getting away
Mhm.
from the purple. So the new brand palette is more like the one that I used for high leverage content. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I love that.
Yep.
I'm
So it's going
excited
to
to
be
see where it
more
goes.
very cool. Like it's going to be like that the color of my sweater in that picture, that green color.
Hmm.
a navy blue, which is actually the same navy blue I've been using for the high leverage content, and then like some lighter, cooler blues and greens, and then like a khaki color and a gray color. Those are basically the main colors.
I think that'll have a really nice contrast between them all.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see what like how it all comes together when it's
Yeah.
all done. And so, okay, a couple more questions for you because I'm still so interested. The shoots that are coming up, are you going to have a similar color palette, just different outfits?
Yes, I think so. I mean, in the sense that they will be consistent with my brand colors. I'm not going to go off the
Yeah.
rails. So yeah, I would say that basically the answer to that is yes. And I haven't like I have to come up with concepts for the next shoots.
Hmm.
Like I know I want one to be like straightforward. So I've got some of those sort of more smiling at the camera pictures.
Hmm.
But I want to do another conceptual one too. So like part of this shoot, I did the conceptual one, which was I call it that, which was me in like a trench coat, like slightly
I love
retro
those.
outfit and high heels out out in front of the old Miami courthouse, which is this incredible old building with like these
So
crazy
beautiful.
high pillars and beautiful um like intricate ceiling and whatnot. It's just very like old world looking. It almost looks like something you'd find like in Washington, D.C. on like every block, basically. Like all the buildings in
Everywhere.
D.C. look like that. Yeah. I probably just needed to go to D.C. and do the shoot, but I found a building that looks like that in Miami and we used it.
Well,
So
and
that
that's
one was
just down
more
the
of like
road.
the conceptual one. And
Hmm.
then the studio ones were a little bit more like just like me, in my element kind of feeling. So I think I might do the next shoot. I want to come up with another concept, kind of like I'm thinking about like maybe finding like an old brownstone type of building, either in
Hmm.
Boston or New York. I wish I could find something here, but I haven't been able to find it.
I don't think you're going to find brownstones in Florida.
Yeah. Even if it just looked like that with like the kind of like higher ceilings and large windows
Hmm.
and like not wainscoting. What is it called? Like the walls of older buildings like that have like that kind of like the square shape in the walls. Kind of like almost like see my door jamb right there has
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, the door jambs here have that because our house is old, but our house is old like bungalow style, not this style that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So I want to find something like that, I think, for like the next concept. And maybe even do a little bit of like tongue-in-cheek, like nouveau, not nouveau riche, like old money
Hmm.
kind of. I think I can say that like because we're all Pinterest people here, right? So Pinterest did like a trend. One of the trends I think on Pinterest for a while was like old money, and it's just like
Yeah.
more um like probably earlier than mid-century, even like
Yeah.
Victorian era crystal
It's late 1800s,
chandeliers.
early 1900s, kind of like,
Yeah, turn of the century.
yeah,
Not
turn of the
this one,
century
the last
vibes.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm starting to format it in my head.
I'm
And
so
I have a
excited to
couple of
see.
secret Pinterest boards, but I can unsecret them if you want to look at them.
I'm excited to see how this goes. Um, what comes of it. Obviously, I'm going to be doing a new photo shoot now because, hello, got to keep up. I'm just
Yeah,
kidding. No, but I do want some new brand photos and
I just got an idea.
what?
Maybe I should do like a Hamilton theme.
Oh, yeah.
Would that
See,
be too super
I
cheesy?
actually had an idea and I didn't mention it earlier, but you're always looking for trains and buses and things to get tickets on.
That's true.
What if you hopped on a bus or a train
Yeah.
and
Yeah, like
rode for a stop while your photographer was snapping photos of
public
you?
transit. Yeah, because that is like I love that. I love public transit. I love my collection
Mhm.
of public transit tickets. And it would go along with my idea of like city because I like cities.
Mhm.
It's so funny because earlier when you were saying that you want to do like a photo shoot in like a garden and with greenery and stuff. I live in South Florida and like literally everywhere you go, there's like greenery
Your
and gorgeous
entire
gardens and
neighborhood,
everything.
so
Even,
beautiful.
literally my neighborhood is like that, but also there's like parks and stuff over on Palm Beach that are just gorgeous. But that's not my brand. I don't want
Yeah.
that? So it's so funny. Sometimes the grass is greener, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, I hope you guys all got a good sense of like brand photos and doing photo shoots and what to look for, how to think about it, maybe things that we wish we would have done differently. and you can take all of that. I really love the idea of the clear plastic bin and the empty water bottle with coffee. Like those are such great tips. And I probably wouldn't use a cheapy Walmart one. I probably would use a reusable one myself.
Yeah, I needed a good one
Just
because
to
it was
ensure the
like
lid is
the li I
closed.
didn't want the lid to crack when I picked it up. Yep.
Listen, knowing me, it would spill everywhere because I'm just a klutz. So
But it would be a great story.
my notebooks are just covered in coffee. If you only
Hey,
knew.
we want to be us. We want to be ourselves in our brand photos. So if you have like notebooks covered in coffee, then that is what it is.
I mean, it's true. Listen, like I've spilled water on all my notebooks. I just spilled water on my notebook on Sunday again. My planner just keeps getting bigger and bigger because I keep spilling liquids on it. Um, no, all joking aside, I hope you guys have had some thoughts, some inspiration, and we will see you back here next time. I know we have some content planning to do. We're going to be doing that, and we'll see you back here next week.
Yeah, see you Wednesday next week.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Oh, I think that was so good. I love these
Yeah.
chats.